Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days and 5 minutes. Just want to let everybody know that there will be a Joe and Joe weather show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So I'll be sending out the link later this afternoon. So remember, 7 o'clock Eastern Time for a Saturday Joe and Joe weather show. So we have a major winter storm that is getting underway. You can see on the watches and warnings map that we've got a huge area of winter storm warnings from central and eastern Kansas and southern Nebraska across much of Missouri into central and southern Illinois, central and southern Indiana, southern Ohio, much of Kentucky. Further east, we have winter storm watches from West Virginia up into southern New Jersey, down to the Delmarva Peninsula, and covering most of the state of Virginia. There are winter storm warnings up for parts of southwestern Pennsylvania into the mountains of West Virginia because we're still getting some lake effect snows that are going on in northeastern Ohio, northwestern Pennsylvania, southwestern New York, and north central New York, where it's been just getting pounded for the last several days. The snow's being measured in feet. We're going to see the lake effect diminish, but then, of course, we'll see who goes over to winter storm warnings in areas further east later on this afternoon when the Weather Service updates all of this. And on the satellite loop, just want to point out some players here. We have a storm that is well south of Nova Scotia that is part of this huge blocking pattern that we have in the North Atlantic. Also out in the plains, you're beginning to see all the moisture gathering for the developing storm. There's not a whole lot going on at the moment, but there will be later on this afternoon and tonight, and certainly during the day tomorrow. And the radars are beginning to show snow developing in parts of Iowa, starting to see some echoes aloft in Kansas. We're seeing some steadier snows back through Montana. Meanwhile, in the Northeast, the lake effect continues, and you see those streamers coming right off of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, also in parts of western Michigan, and that's all thanks to northwest winds on the backside of the Atlantic block. There's going to be some severe weather today in parts of eastern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, southeastern Arkansas. The Storm Prediction Center has a slight to enhanced risk for severe weather in this zone, and that comes with a 2 to 5% tornado risk. And as far as total precipitation is concerned, when you melt it all down, we're looking at anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to some areas getting as much as an inch and a half of liquid. So that's probably going to produce some 1 foot plus snows in the middle Mississippi Valley and points east. But notice that once you go north of southern half of New Jersey, that's the northern edge of 1/4 of an inch of liquid. There's very little as you go on up to the northeast, up into New England. So that pretty much tells you that this thing is going to wind up getting squashed to the south. As far as snow amounts are concerned, you can see the large area of 1 foot plus snows from northern Kansas across northern Missouri into central Illinois. We're talking about the 6 to 10 inches being indicated further east into Indiana, southern Ohio, northeastern Kentucky, much of West Virginia, much of Virginia, especially once you go north of Richmond and Roanoke, and into Maryland, Delaware, southern New Jersey, southern Pennsylvania. Now, I'm going to caution you that on the northern edge of this, it is likely that we're going to see this area see their amounts taken down a bit because of what we've been seeing happening in terms of the weather models over the last couple of days. And this is the latest new GFS, which is just starting to run its cycle. So we have enough here to take you through Monday night. And there's your developing low in eastern Oklahoma. So by Sunday morning, you're talking about a swath of ice from southeast Kansas, except the extreme southeast, across central Missouri, southern Illinois, into western Kentucky. A lot of this area is going to change over to snow once the low goes a little further to the east. And you see the low continuing to push eastward toward the mid-Atlantic states. By early Monday morning, it'll be snowing in northern Virginia, in Maryland, and in southern Pennsylvania. Then also snowing through Ohio and Indiana and Illinois. The thunderstorms and the severe weather will sweep through for Sunday. I should correct what I said with regards to the severe thunderstorm activity. It's going to be mostly on Sunday here with this low across the deep south. And then as the low nears the east coast, you'll notice that it really doesn't push much further north. You get some lighter snows that get up in through central New Jersey and into the middle part of Pennsylvania. But north and east of there, it all just sort of gets squashed, and that low runs out straight to the east. It doesn't turn northward and climb up the eastern seaboard, but rather it gets shoved out straight to the east. And the reason for this is if we look at what's going on in the upper air, you have a really vigorous short wave here. There's a closed upper low in eastern Kansas that's moving eastward. It actually strengthens as we head through Sunday and into Sunday night, which explains the developing snows, the heavy snows that are going to go out ahead of it. But as the day goes on Monday, because the block to the northeast, if you look at the upper right, you'll see westerly winds uh, in New England start to press southward. There's an arm of energy. There's a short wave that is swinging west across eastern Canada that's dropping southward, and it basically just squashes this whole thing to the south and east. So we don't really see too much room here or too much or anything that indicates that this is not correct or that this thing may wind up going further to the north. There's just too much blocking out to the east in the Atlantic to allow this system to make any kind of northward progression. So we'll leave you with a look here again at where all the winter storm warnings and winter storm watches are up. It's a very active storm system. Snow lovers in the Northeast are going to be very disappointed that they're going to be missing out on this. But folks in the Mid-Atlantic states that haven't seen too much snow in the last few years are going to get some snow from all of this. And of course, from the lower Ohio Valley back to the Central Plains, it is indeed a major snowfall. So don't forget, we've got the Joe and Joe Weather Show coming up tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Please mark it down. I'll send out a link later this afternoon. We will see you then.